Hey folks, this is JR with DIY Prepper. Welcome to the channel. Building a lights out kit is one of the first things that a prepper should do, and most of y'all probably already have one. And the biggest problem with most lights out kits is that they're usually built with short-term emergencies in mind. While having things like a flashlight and an extra box of batteries will be fine for like a power outage lasting a couple of days, it's not going to do you very good for something longer term. And unfortunately, the chances of us facing something more severe are growing. Things like cyber attacks and increasing conflicts make it plausible that people could face situations where they'd be without power for weeks, months, or even longer. So because of this, it makes sense that preppers would set up their lights out kit to be sustainable and grid independent for an extended period of time. And one thing that I wanted my lights out kit to account for is the possibility of an EMP or an electromagnetic pulse. And if that were to happen, then everything with sensitive electronics, including things like LED flashlights and a lot of generators, would be affected. So to prevent that, I put everything with sensitive electronics inside of this Faraday trash can that I made in a previous video. And while a Faraday cage should protect devices and chargers from an EMP, they won't be very useful long term if you can't keep them powered up. Most generators, since they rely on a finite fuel source like gasoline or propane, aren't well suited for long-term disasters. Many fuel-based generators are also pretty large, meaning they can be difficult to protect unless you can afford to go out and buy some sort of large piece of conductive cloth. Because of these limitations, a solar power option is your best bet. For this, I've chosen the Delta 2 by Ecoflow, and I'd like to thank them for sponsoring this video. I've had the Delta 2 for around a year now, and there's several reasons why I think it'd be very well suited for a kit like this. First of all, it's powerful enough to run or charge anything in the kit. It has outlets to power AC, USB, and 12-volt devices, and its inverter is rated for 1800 running watts, meaning that it can power some much larger devices as well. If you're in a situation that wasn't caused by an EMP, then you'll be able to use the Delta 2 to power larger appliances and also power tools. That's useful if you want to do things like preserve the food in your freezer or maybe make repairs to your home. It has a 1 kilowatt hour capacity, which is pretty standard for a device its size, but you can double this by adding an extra battery. Both the main unit and the extra battery both use lithium iron phosphate or LFP batteries, and with those they should be able to go 3,000 cycles before reaching 80% of their original capacity. That means that you could use them daily for the better part of a decade before you start to notice a decrease in performance. So when you combine the long lifespan of the Delta 2 plus the long lifespan of nickel metal hydride batteries, then you really do have a setup where you can keep essential devices running long term. Another reason that I chose the Delta 2 for this kit is that it's the largest power station that I have that can still fit inside the can along with its extra battery and cables. If you have a larger metal container, then you could use something even larger like the Delta Max. It has around double the capacity of the Delta 2 and can also accommodate 2 extra batteries, meaning that you could triple the capacity for that one. If you need something smaller or a little less expensive, the River 2 Pro is an excellent option. It has a slightly smaller capacity than the Delta 2 at 768 watt hours, but it can still power some larger things like power tools. And while I normally prefer larger power stations like this Delta 2 or the Delta Max, the River 2 Pro actually did impress me quite a bit when I tested it out. But it should go without saying that during a long-term grid down situation, you won't be able to just plug a power station like the Delta 2 into the wall and top it off. So having a good set of solar panels is an absolute must. Now, it's generally accepted that most solar panels should be able to survive an EMP, but if you can, I don't think it would hurt to err on the side of caution. Some solar panels, especially the portable ones, may have some additional circuitry built into them. Wrapping your panels in a few layers of aluminum foil is a decent option if you have a set that you don't use that often. I have one of Ecoflow's 160 watt panels that I keep in a box wrapped in 5 overlapping layers of aluminum foil. Doing that may be completely unnecessary, but it does make me feel better having a good set of panels in reserve. If you don't have panels yet or you're wanting to upgrade, then Ecoflow's recently come out with 220 watt bifacial solar panels. Those are made of tempered glass and they have an IP68 waterproof rating, so they should hold up to the elements pretty well. And since they're bifacial, they can also pick up ambient light on the back side of the panel, which helps them absorb more energy. So if you have a good power station like this and a good set of solar panels, then you have a pretty good shot at having the energy that you need to keep essential devices running long term. Now, Ecoflow is doing a Prime Day promotion where you can save up to $1,500 depending on what you buy. They'll be doing some deal of the day offers on July 11th and 12th, which is Prime Day, And if you use the links in the description below and this code, then you can get an extra 5% off all of their Prime Day sales, with the exception of the flash sale items, and that code will be valid until July 20th. And to go along with all that, Ecoflow is also doing a t-shirt and bag giveaway. If you want to enter, just leave a comment below asking a question about Ecoflow or anything else you may be wondering about power stations and how they could be useful for emergency preparedness. I'll choose a winner on July 20th, do a community post announcing it, and if you want to see the complete rules for that, then you can see that in the description. The next thing that your lights out kit should include, and this should surprise absolutely nobody, is different kinds of lighting. Something like this Streamlight Siege would be a good option since it's bright enough to light up a room, but it's still relatively compact. This particular light runs on 3 D cells, and to keep it running long term, I'm going to be using rechargeable batteries. Nickel metal hydride batteries like these have a pretty long lifespan, and they shouldn't be affected by an EMP. The same is true for most common batteries like AA's and AAA's, so I'm not really going to be keeping them in the kit itself just so I can continue to use them as needed. But if you have anything like power tool batteries that have circuitry built into them, then you probably do want to keep at least a couple of spares in a Faraday cage, along with any tools that you don't use that often but would want to have during a long-term disaster. Something like this lantern would be a good choice because in addition to providing a ton of light, it also has a USB charger on the back of it so you can use it to power small devices. Even though AA, AAA, and D cells wouldn't be affected, their charger would be. So I'm going to keep a spare universal charger in there as a backup along with an extra power tool battery charger. Lights like these have a built-in solar panel in them would also be a good choice to keep in there since they have their own backup power. These could be lanterns like this one or outdoor solar lights like what you'd use in your yard or garden. The next light that I'll be keeping in this kit is this headlamp. This is one that I've had for a while and it's pretty bright. It uses a rechargeable lithium-ion battery, so I'm going to keep its charger in the kit as well. I'll probably also keep a spare LED flashlight in the Faraday cage because some of the components in modern LED lights like this one could be susceptible to an EMP. You may also want to keep a few rechargeable light bulbs in a long-term lights out kit. While light bulbs like these would need to be protected from an EMP, things like simple table and floor lamps would probably be okay if they're unplugged, so you could use these in those kinds of lamps to give you a more normal kind of light source than just using LED lanterns all the time. But you do probably still want to check on these from time to time to make sure that the battery functionality is still working. And your lights really don't need to be all that fancy. Like, you can pick up these cheap like little flip style lights. They work really well in places like closets. And if you have younger kids, then, you know, just little battery operated lights like this one could be good to keep in those kits as well. The next area that this kit covers is climate control. During a long-term situation, keeping an air conditioner running probably isn't going to be a possibility for most people, so you're going to need to rely heavily on fans. I have a couple here that just run on D-cell batteries like that lantern that I showed earlier. This is a tent fan, and you can suspend this over your head using something like a hook and some paracord, and this is just a regular fan that you can sit on something like a tabletop or your floor. Since the Delta 2 can accommodate AC devices, you could also include a small corded fan like this one as well. For cold weather applications, a small propane or kerosene space heater can work well for short-term situations, but you're eventually going to run out of fuel for it. For longer-term situations, though, you're probably going to want some sort of wood stove. Those have been used for centuries for heating and cooking, but you will need to consider how you're going to install that so you can use it safely. The next thing that this lights out kit covers is communication. I've placed a couple of mobile GMRS radios in there, and while these are primarily designed to be used in a vehicle, the Delta 2 can power them since it has a 12-volt output. So that means that it can be used as a base station as well. If we were to lose access to cellular communications, then the second radio could be given to a family member who also has a power station. GMRS radios can also communicate with FRS radios, meaning that if you have walkie-talkies, you can use all of them together. I've also included my Midland ER310 that I've shown in some other videos in the kit, but if you can, it'd be a good idea to have some more powerful radio systems like ham or shortwave. Those will give you access to more frequencies, and if you're trying to communicate back and forth, then ham would give you a much better range than one of these would, provided you have the right setup. A good lights out kit should also include ways to prepare food. For short-term situations, butane or propane stoves are good options. Butane stoves like this one are considered to be a little bit safer for indoor use, while propane stoves have the advantage of being compatible with full-size cylinders if they're used with an adapter hose. But when you're storing fuel for either one of these, do it as safely as possible. Like, I would not recommend keeping fuel for either one of these in like your main kit or any other enclosed container. But the biggest problem with butane, propane, and other man-made fuels is that eventually they're going to run out. Something like a Kelly kettle would be a good option for longer term situations since they use natural resources like sticks and pine cones. These work very well for boiling water or cooking meals for 1 or 2 people, but if you have a larger group, then something like a rocket stove or burning firewood in an old charcoal grill could be good long-term options. But just be aware that open fires, especially those in things like those charcoal grills or a fire pit, are going to produce a lot of smoke, and that could draw some unwanted attention to you. For things like the Kelly kettle and then also rocket stoves, it's not going to be as much of a problem because a lot of that smoke is burned up inside of them. Also be sure to include items to help you start fires. Lighters and ferro rods are some of the most obvious, but also don't forget things like lighter fluid or newspaper. While it is a good idea to know how to start a fire without those things, it can be nice to be able to cheat occasionally also. Solar cookers are another good option for longer term disasters, especially if you live somewhere like I do that gets a ton of sunlight most of the year. While they're pretty bulky when you're using them, some of them, like the all-season solar cooker that I have, can be folded up so they won't take up a whole lot of room when you're not using them. Now, since this kit's meant to account for EMPs, it'd also be a good idea to include some primitive preps as well. And the reason for this, especially with man-made EMPs, is that there could be more than one. You could have all of your important stuff protected, take it out, another EMP comes and then wipes it out. So having things like hurricane lanterns and oil lamps along with candles could kind of help you stay covered in situations like that. You just want to make sure to stock up on plenty of candles, plenty of lamp oil and wicks so that you can use that long term. And also, since these are flame-based light sources that we're talking about here, you also need to have something like a fire extinguisher just in case something happens. But one thing I didn't cover today was how to actually build a Faraday cage. And the reason for that is that I showed a full video on that exact topic a couple months ago. So if you want to see that, then check out this video. Or if you want to see some more things that you would need to bug in during a long-term situation, then check out this video. Once again, I'd like to thank Ecoflow for sponsoring this video. Thank y'all for stopping by. Y'all have a good one.